Hey there everybody, it's March 6, 2018, and when I put a call out a couple days ago on Patreon and Facebook and whatnot, asking people what kind of videos they wanted me to get into, of course people said they like my live news, quite a few people said they like the whiteboard, but surprisingly to me, a lot of people also said they want my health information. So that's what this video is going to be, essentially a health briefing, and I'm going to mesh together multiple topics that interest me to kind of give you an understanding of certain systems in your body. I'm going to call this one Esoteric Holistics. Just kind of an interesting name that popped in my head when I was at the gym this morning. But I'm calling it Esoteric Holistics because I'm going to mesh together philosophy and holistic health information. And the philosophy that I'm very much into is esoteric in this instance meaning not very well known, and it's also archetypal philosophy. So I'm very interested in Dr. Carl Jung's research. I'm very interested in Ralph Waldo Emerson and Walter Russell. And I'm also interested in what influences them. What influences the people that influence me? You know, I'm really going for the depths of knowledge here. I ain't no shallow thinker. So what I read that influences people like Emerson is Hermetic philosophy, otherwise known as the Kybalion. That's this book right here. This book was written in the very early 1900s by a man that was studying what's called Hermetic philosophy. And Hermetic philosophy deals with essentially cosmic law. Cosmic law in this instance meaning the archetypal way that the universe operates, essentially blueprints. And one of the tenets of Hermetic philosophy is this phrase right here: all is mind. We live in a mental universe or a thought-based reality here. You know, our thoughts make up everything. Consciousness is key. So when understanding that everything is mental, it all emanates from thought and consciousness, your mind is electricity. Your thoughts have an electromagnetic reality to them, a frequency to them, if you will. And I wrote EU right here because this goes much in line with the electric universe theory. You know, the electric universe is not just a physics principle or a physics understanding, but it's health-oriented as well, right? It all connects, you know? So our mind, our brain, our thoughts are electric in nature, and thus our nervous system is primary. It's essentially the utmost. It's the very pinnacle of our body, of all the systems in our body. If your nervous system isn't working right, nothing is working right. So your nervous system is like the control center, right? So keeping this balanced, keeping your nervous system healthy is pretty much the most important thing that you want to do if you're trying to feel good and if you're trying to get over any kind of issues or diseases that you have. You know, the nervous system runs your muscles, runs your skeletal system even. Your skeleton and your muscles that keep it balanced are all ran by your nervous system, your hormones even, and everything is run by your electric nervous system. It's almost the bridge, you know, the bridge between that mental universe and what we're seeing as the physical. It's what runs our meat suits, if you will. So I want to discuss with you guys different ways to balance your nervous system, to keep that physical nervous system healthy. And I have 4 different things right here. Of course, I could go off into many different tangents within these 4 things. Where's my pen? And I'm just going to keep it right here. I mean, I'll even do probably multiple videos on different aspects of this. But let's first talk about nutrients. Different nutrients to keep your electric system healthy, your brain. O3 I have written down here. That's omega-3 fatty acids. So the problem is with the SAD diets these days, the standard American diets, is that we eat a shitload of fat and it's a shitload of bad fat. It's usually omega-6 fatty acids in the cooking oils and canola, soy oils and everything that people typically use. So the ratios of omega-3 that's in our bodies, it's sadly low. The ratio of omega-6 to omega-3s that we should be having in our diets should at least be 1 to 1, if not 2 to 1, 2 parts O6 to 1 part O3. But these days it's like 20 or 40 to 1 because we just don't eat any foods that have omega-3s in them anymore. And to get these back in your diets, you want to focus on chia seeds, you want to focus on hemp seeds, you want to focus on different algae, spirulina, chlorella. You can take those in pill or powder. And you also, if you do eat meat, want to make damn sure that your meat is as free range and wild crafted as possible. No chickens and cows that were in giant operations, and no farmed salmon, especially. All wild caught fish. So that's some ways you can make sure you have the proper fats in your diet, because these omega fatty acids, they essentially make up the cell membranes in your nervous system. So that helps with cell-to-cell communication. That's what gets the electricity through all your little neurons. So eat good fat, guys. Flax oil, especially, great way. Magnesium, another mineral we're just terribly deficient in. I mean, I'll try not to rant on how sad our food is these days and how much of it isn't even food. But magnesium, definitely a big mineral to make sure you have to stay relaxed so your brain can operate properly, and you can get magnesium in a lot of nuts and seeds and foods of that nature. Of course, again, organic is the best. Water. We are sadly dehydrated as a society for many different reasons, and our water itself is essentially dead water. And toxic even. So make sure you have plenty of water in your body on a daily basis. The golden rule I try to stick to is take my body weight in pounds, divide that by 2. That's how many ounces I want to get a day. I weigh about 170 on an average day. So I divide that by 2. 85, I'm pretty active and I run real hot, high metabolism. So I try to get maybe 95, 100 ounces of water a day. Make sure it's purified. Make sure there's no fluoride in it. We'll talk about fluoride in a minute. And reverse osmosis or gravity filters are best. Make sure the filter gets out fluoride. And you can also look into structuring water, oxygenating the water, alkalizing it, and whatnot. But of course, I'm just going through the basics in this video and all these tidbits. And then B vitamins. B vitamins are the water-soluble ones that are often found in various meats and in small amounts in some other foods. If you don't eat meat, if you choose not to for whatever reason, make sure you get a supplement of whole food B vitamins, or eat the algae powders that I mentioned, because spirulina and chlorella are one of very few plant foods that have B vitamins naturally occurring in them. So make sure you're good on all these things. That's just a few of many different nutrients you need. Probiotics actually are a big one I should have written on here, but I didn't, because of course your digestive system and your nervous system are directly linked through singular nerves, and many neurons for your nervous system are actually made in your gut. So if your gut's all off, if you have a bunch of bad bacteria and candida, fungus residing in your gut, you're going to feel bad, run down, and you're not going to be able to connect with your higher self. Your nervous system's not going to be able to be electric, be light. You're going to be pretty dark and run down and not very vibrant of a human. And then toxins. Let's get into toxins, number 2 here. So of course, there's way too many damn toxins in our environment because large corporations don't give a shit about us. And so you need to go the extra mile to make sure that A, you're detoxifying yourself. I'll do future videos on different methods to do that, and also being preventative about it, preventing toxins from getting into your body consistently and overwhelming your systems. So like we said earlier, fluoride. Just avoid that stuff. Doesn't help your teeth one bit. It calcifies your brain, specifically your pineal gland. So of course it's gonna take you off your center, your higher self center, away from your spiritual self. And it also wrecks your thyroid too, if you didn't know that. So hypothyroidism running rampant, people's metabolisms slower than a turtle. Fluoride's a big reason. So avoid fluoridated water. Like I said, water filter. Avoid actually cooking with Teflon. Cooking with nonstick cookware leaches fluoridated gases. So get ceramic pans. or non-stick cookware, and various pharmaceuticals contain fluoride. There's a lot of different things, but make sure you avoid that. Heavy metals, of course. Reject the poison. Don't get your shots. Don't, what else has aluminum in it? Processed foods. A lot of breads have aluminum as an anti-caking agent. Mercury. Mercury fillings in your teeth. Please don't get those. If you have to get fillings, get them ceramic. And if you have mercury fillings in your teeth, please find a knowledgeable dentist who can safely help you remove them. Endocrine disruptors. A lot of toxins in our environment disrupt our hormone system, otherwise known as your endocrine system. These could be anything from perfumes, people everywhere wearing Axe and Old Spice, or women with their foo-foo sprays. Destroying our hormones. Breathe that in, gets right in your blood. A lot of topical stuff that we use on our skin, everything from lotions to body washes to sunscreens especially, all putting parabens and other hormone disrupting chemicals right into our blood because your skin sucks it in. Your skin's a giant organ, goes right into your body, and there's a lot more that I can list, but please educate yourself on them and avoid them. Drugs. Right here I primarily mean alcohol and tobacco. Sorry, alcohol is awful for you, and of course tobacco, not a very good thing for your brain. And then GMOs and food additives. Like I said earlier, our food can't even classify it as food. It's just stuff that happens to taste good on our tongue. So avoid all of them. GMOs. Of course, GMOs destroy your gut like we talked about earlier. So be a label hog, guys. I mean, it takes me a long time to go through the supermarket sometimes. And I don't even care because I'll be sitting there reading the label, trying to figure out what every little thing is. And that's just self-awareness, guys. You're putting it in yourself, so why not understand what you really are putting in yourself? Then, of course, food additives, the colors, the processing techniques, the nitrates, the whatever else they put in there to keep the stuff from not turning colors. Avoid all those stuff. Again, this can take me hours and hours to discuss because there's so many things that are really bad for us out there. So it's important to learn about it and make the effort to avoid it. Number 3, alignment. This is a big one that not a lot of people really think about, but it's actually crucial when optimizing your nervous system and thus all the other systems, like your musculoskeletal and hormonal and organ function and whatnot, but keeping your nervous system aligned, primarily your spine. Because of course you have your brain, then you have your spine that comes down, you have your spinal cord that's surrounded by 33 vertebrae. Illuminati confirmed. But yes, you have 33 vertebrae that surround your spinal cord, and these are all very important to keep aligned, because if you have if your spine gets out of alignment from all the sitting and desk work and driving and flexed positions, over time, over the days and months and years, your vertebrae will start slipping. If it gets bad enough, you get a slip discs, and stuff will just start getting out of its natural position, the position it's supposed to be in. If you have a vertebrae that starts pressing on your spinal cord, even a very tiny little bit of pressure can reduce the electrical flow through your spinal cord and then out to your peripheral nervous system. So you want to make sure that you stretch the proper muscles, that you keep the muscles that are weak strengthened. There's kind of a yin-yang relationship in muscular balance. I'll do future videos again on that. How many times have I said that so far? I'll do future videos. A lot goes into all of this. That's my point here. So making sure your lumbopelvic hip complex, your hip region and your shoulder region are especially balanced to keep everything proper. No forward head postures, rounded shoulders, and ass issues, essentially. Low back issues. And I'll discuss that. And then one thing I do want to make a note of is your atlas, though. So your atlas is a vertebrae. It's the very top one that sits right up under the skull, right about there. And your atlas is a free-floating vertebrae. It's the only free-floating vertebrae you have, so it's actually not directly connected to in a joint to the ones under it. It's just held there by ligaments. So that being said, since it's a free-floating vertebrae, it's very easily, it can very easily, what do I want to say, kind of jimmy around in there and press on your spinal cord like I was talking about. So this one can do almost the most damage if you have just very bad posture, or you get whiplash, especially. So if you've been in sports incident, had a car accident, anything like that where you've had whiplash, and this guy can easily slip. So you want to make sure you see a knowledgeable chiropractor, specifically a cervical specialist, somebody who specializes in looking at necks, balancing the cervical spine out, right up there. So your atlas, I suggest you get that checked, get x-rays done, have it adjusted once, twice a year even, depending on, how bad your posture is and how much corrective exercise you do for your frame. So there's number 3, alignment, and number 4, hormonal balance. So like I said earlier, the nervous system runs all the other systems. And if anything's, actually what I want to say here, it's kind of a two-way street. So your nervous system, if it's out of balance, it's going to affect your hormones. But at the same time, if your hormones are screwed up, it's also going to influence your nervous system. So hormonal balance, this here being caffeine. I live in the Pacific Northwest, which is probably the coffee addiction capital of the world, I would say, and people are just frying themselves with their caffeine addictions. It will drink so much caffeine, it's going to up the adrenaline hormones in your body, the fight or flight hormones, your adrenaline, epinephrine, norepinephrine, and whatnot. So that over time, even if it's just a cup of coffee a day, guys, 150 milligrams of caffeine a day, you do that for a long time, you're going to stress your adrenal gland out every day, and your metabolism is going to suffer, your thyroid, everything else affected by your adrenaline, your brain, your thought processes, your stress levels. People just get, neurotic. Caffeine is one of those reasons. So limit it. And I'll be honest, caffeine has always been one of my drugs of choice. Through working out and playing sports and, having a lot of stuff to do during the day, sipping some pre-workout or caffeine, that's always been my thing. So that's my self-awareness, me understanding what I need to try to get off of. And working out. So a lot of people think working out just involves tearing yourself down, being catabolic, or all of this masculine energy and lifting weights and pumping and whatnot. And yeah, it's fun, it's important, but you also want to focus on the feminine working out, the feminine exercises. What Paul Chek, a very world-renowned holistic health practitioner out of California, he calls it working in as opposed to working out, because it's essentially the yin to the yang. It's anabolic, it's energy building exercises, Tai Chi, Qigong, yoga. I personally do just my own stretching routine. You can call it whatever you want to, yoga, Tai Chi, or whatnot, but I just go through different bodily motions and postures and whatnot to balance my musculoskeletal system, balance my alignment like I was discussing up here. So working in, and it builds the energy, especially when you breathe properly with it. Now, breathing is a big one I could have gone off on a tangent on in here, but focus on those exercises, guys. It's, it's funny in our society, the kind of mental programming we've had. Males have viewed everything feminine to be gay. You do yoga, bro? Pff, gay. No, actually, it's amazing for you, and it makes you more of a man, because when you have less catabolic hormones in your body, you'll then have more anabolic hormones like testosterone, and hey, what do you know? The weird yoga and stretching that you're doing is actually making you more manly. But anyway, and lastly, I just have written on here mental and emotional grounding. So that's, of course, a whole subject in and of itself, and that involves knowing the individual. I can't just I can throw out there a lot of concepts that can help you with this, but of course, it's always subjective as much as it is objective. So when it comes to mental and emotional grounding, I love researching, like I said earlier, into esoteric philosophy, for instance, archetypes and psychoanalysis concepts and whatnot. It helps you understand yourself. Because if you know thyself, if you figure out how you operate, then you can go on to figure out how everyone else is operating. The more you know yourself, the more you can know other people and then know society and figure out how to get over your own problems and help society get over their problems too. So, teach, learn right there. And I'm actually there's a lot of projects I'm working on up here, will be working on here soon, that involve me getting out that information about esoteric philosophy and archetypes and how you can better understand them to better understand yourself and others. Because it's just fascinating to me, and it's something that I feel like the world needs to know. And the world also needs to know health information, so I hope you enjoyed my very short kind of tangents on all of these little bullet points. Like I said, I'll be going into more deep dives concerning all of these and more. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll be seeing you again shortly, and you'll be seeing me again shortly. Peace out, y'all.